Hi, we're Group 4, and this is our RFP assignment.
What is an RFP? An RFP is a document created to outline the requirements for a specific project. Those requirements specify what the customer is looking for and describes each evaluation criterion on which a vendor's proposal will be addressed. An RFP provides a procurement framework that can streamline the initial stages of contract solicitation. Suppliers or bidders to these requirements provide the basis for an informed analysis of clearly defined alternatives. An RFP is especially important in IT projects because the scope, resources, and the requirements for the projects are very dynamic. In the field of IT, adaptive methodologies for project management are sought after to compete with the fast-paced demands of the client. Therefore, with a good RFP, you can secure offers from different vendors, making it easier for the company to compare skills and rates to find the right partner for your project, and understand your alternatives by defining the scope of your request and requesting detailed information about pricing and services will help potential vendors deliver bids that meet your needs. And lastly, the right RFP will assess the background of bidding vendors, and a well-defined RFP will help you save time when researching each bidders.
There are typically 8 sections in an RFP where the company will outline their needs. The first section provides an overview of the company to the suppliers. The administrative section is used to inform suppliers to have an acceptable proposal. The technical requirements section summarizes the problem that is the basis of the RFP and addresses the current business application and technical environment. The most important part is the requirements, so the supplier knows exactly what the project entails. The management requirements section provides information suppliers need to develop a project plan covering aspects such as maintenance and training. This section ensures that suppliers can meet the overall project requirements. The supplier qualification and references section is just as important as the previous 2 sections. It is meant for suppliers to provide important information on the financial status of their company as well as give customers for reference.
The supplier section allows suppliers to provide information that they feel is necessary to make a decision, but was not requested in the RFP. Suppliers can also discuss potential issues that is important to note in the RFP or their proposal. The pricing section gives the supplier a format to develop their price proposals. Instructions for the pricing section should have a clear format to ensure that the price proposals from different suppliers can be compared in a fair manner. The contracts and license agreements provide guidance to the supplier on how to respond to contracts and agreements. Contracts are provided to suppliers so they can study them along with the RFP requirements. If there is detailed information that is too lengthy for the body of the RFP, the appendix is used to handle these extra information.
Depending on how we write, the RFP can be effective or not. For example, if the RFP provides too many detailed information, that might confuse the vendor. Instead, give only the information needed for the vendor to understand the proposal. Avoid giving unnecessary options. For example, giving 24 numbers for contact is too much. Instead, be selective but still open-minded. For example, 2 or 3 phone numbers are usually enough, and don't enforce the vendor to respond just by phone or email or paper. We should support multiple different options. Pay attention to the tone used in the RFP. It shouldn't be informal or too formal. Use a respectful tone that is suitable for business. Do not always ask for work in advance. It might or might not be appropriate. For example, if it is a designing proposal, the company can request for a sample blueprint, and that is totally fine. Not just the content of the RFP, but how we handle it also affects the process. For example, if we send too many RFP to the same vendor, that might cause trouble for them and make them lose interest. Instead, keep track of the vendors who already have the RFP and only send out when needed. Avoid sending out too many RFP at the same time because we might not be able to handle all of the responses. Depends on the size of our team to decide the right amount of RFP being sent out. After we choose a vendor, don't expect them to agree with the full contract. Instead, Be open for negotiation. That also helps to improve the relationship with the vendor.
We've talked about what RFPs are and how we can write them, but we're missing the most important part. Why? Why do we need to write RFPs? Well, in some industries, it is mandated by the government. This is there to protect the interest of the people, because no vendor can dominate. This kind of nicely touches on my second point, that writing RFPs give your company a better deal. This is especially true in case of IT and technology in general. Multiple vendors bid for your contract, whether they are established companies with years of experience or just startups that started yesterday. And this creates competition. Lastly, RFPs are well documented and follow a well-documented process. And by following it, it reduces the tension and the conflict that comes up when you're working with different vendors. And these can also be this document can be also a good starting point when you're starting the project later on, because it contains a lot of information such as the scope, which is really useful when you're working on the project. So if you're in IT and want to give the best deal with the highest quality, it's easy. Just write an RFP. You won't regret it.